Have you ever looked back at a relationship or even a first date and thought, why did I do that? Or worse, why did I shrink, apologize, chase, explain, overshare, and still get ghosted? What if I told you that you might be giving away your power? Not in huge ways, but in quiet, invisible patterns you don't even notice. Today, we're uncovering 9 habits smart men avoid. Not because they're playing games, but because they understand one truth. When you respect yourself deeply, the world, including women, starts responding to you differently. So turn off your distractions, lean in, and stay with me to the end. Because what we'll cover today might just flip the way you approach relationships and yourself forever. Let's begin. 1. Stop explaining yourself all the time. Have you ever found yourself typing out long paragraphs just to explain why you didn't text back right away? Or why you couldn't make a date? Or why you said what you said? Smart men don't justify everything, not because they don't care, but because they know real connection isn't built on constant justification. When you over-explain, it sends a message you may not realize. I'm afraid you'll leave if I don't explain everything perfectly. But here's a question. If someone needs a play-by-play to trust you, do they actually trust you? Confidence is quiet. Clarity is powerful. In mystery, it's magnetic. Say what needs to be said once. Say it with calm and let it breathe. Now let's take this deeper. One of the core tenets of Stoic philosophy is emotional self-discipline, learning to separate what you can control from what you can't. Epictetus said it best, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you're constantly explaining yourself, you're reacting to the fear of disapproval. You're trying to manage other people's perception, something Stoicism warns us not to chase. Why, Baum? Because it's outside your control. A confident man knows that not everyone will understand him. He accepts that, and instead of reacting to every question, every delay, every insecurity, he returns to his values, his clarity, his direction. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're late replying to a message. Instead of sending a flurry of apologies and justifications, you send one clear message. Hey, I've been focused on some important stuff. All good on your end? That one message communicates 3 things. You're not needy. You're honest. You're grounded in something bigger than approval. And that, my friend, is powerful. Ask yourself, when was the last time I over-explained something? What was I afraid of in that moment? Rejection? Misunderstanding, being seen as careless? Now flip it. What would it have looked like if I spoke once, calmly, and then let silence do the rest? Because sometimes the most attractive thing you can say is nothing. 2, don't chase, ever. Let's talk about a moment we've all felt. She pulls away. Her replies are short. She says she's been busy. And deep down, something in you panics. So you chase, you text more, suggest more plans. You just check in. You try to say the perfect thing to get her back to how it felt at the beginning. But here's what no one told you. Every time you chase, you teach her to value you less. There's a difference between intentional pursuit and needy chasing. Pursuing says, I know what I want, and I'm open to seeing where this leads. Chasing screams, please pick me, I'll prove I'm worth it. Smart men don't chase, not because they don't care, but because they care about themselves first. They recognize that attention given without reciprocity is just energy being wasted. When you start dancing faster to win her back, all she sees is a man moving out of fear. And nothing kills attraction faster than fear. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change. but I must be convinced not by someone who criticizes me, but by someone who teaches me. Apply this to chasing. When a woman withdraws, your job is not to perform to win her over. Your call is to observe the body of the moment and respond with integrity. Stoicism trains you to act from principle, not from panic. A high-value man doesn't need every woman to choose him. He just needs to remain himself regardless of who walks in or out of his life. The urge to chase is rarely about her. It's about you, about a younger part of you that still believes love must be earned by effort, that silence must be filled, that distance means you are not enough. But that's a false belief. You are already enough. You don't need to send 5 texts or bend your schedule or change your tone just to keep someone interested. Because if they only stay when you chase, what are you really building? One client told me, I thought if I just kept showing up, she'd see how loyal I was. But the more I tried, the more she pulled back. I asked him, what if loyalty isn't the problem? What if over-availability is? We rewired his thinking. Instead of proving himself, he observed more. He slowed down. He focused on his work, his fitness, his peace. Guess what? She came back. But more importantly, he didn't need her to anymore. That's the shift. If she's distant, you mirror the energy, but you don't punish. If she flakes, you don't reschedule. You let her initiate next time. If she ghosts, you don't double text. You move on with grace. You lead your energy. You don't leak it. Ask yourself, when was the last time I chased attention that wasn't returning to me? What was I afraid would happen if I let go? What would it feel like to only pursue what pursues me back? Let go of the urge to convince. Let go of the fear that silence means failure. Because the man who doesn't chase is the man who has already chosen himself. And that's who she can't stop thinking about. 3, keep a little mystery. Don't spill everything too soon. Let's paint the scene. You meet someone, she's attractive, smart, easy to talk to, and before you know it, you're pouring out your entire life story. Childhood traumas, past heartbreaks, your 5-year plan, maybe even your insecurities about your dad. It feels good, honest, real. But something shifts. She stops texting as much. She's busy. That spark, it cools. What happened? Simple, you gave away the mystery. Smart men don't confuse openness with emotional flooding. Yes, vulnerability is vital, but timing and pacing, even more so. Emotional control versus emotional dumping. Sharing isn't the problem. Dumping everything at once is. Think of emotional connection like a movie. If you saw the entire plot, twist, and ending in the first 10 minutes, would you still watch it? Probably not. Real connection is built like storytelling. Moment by moment, truth by truth, earned, not dumped. And here's the paradox. The less you reveal, the more she leans in. Seneca once said, be slow to confide, even slower to depend. It's not about being guarded, it's about discernment. Stoicism teaches us to protect our inner world, to observe first, to choose who gets our truth, not to hand it over hoping it will win us affection. A smart man gives space for connection to breathe. He lets curiosity build. He doesn't reveal everything because he's afraid of being misunderstood. He reveals things slowly because he knows the story is valuable. On a first or second date, instead of diving deep into emotional backstories, share small parts. What inspires you? What you're working toward? A fun story or two from life, not a therapy session. Then observe. Does she ask more? Does she lean in? Does she earn the next layer? If yes, great. If no, maybe she was only meant to see the trailer, not the full film. There's a lesser-known detail about Marcus Aurelius. Despite being an emperor, he kept his meditations private. They weren't public speeches. They weren't Instagram captions of the day. They were personal reflections, written just for him. Why? Because he understood that some truths aren't meant to be broadcasted. When we keep a part of ourselves, we preserve our energy. We're not performing, we're just being. And the right people, they'll sense that depth and move closer. Have you ever felt that you revealed too much, too soon? What was the rush? What would it look like if you let people discover you gradually? Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you know your story is something rare and worth earning. Mystery isn't manipulation, it's dignity in slow motion. 4, you're not her therapist. Don't try to fix her. We've all been there. She's upset, venting about her ex, her job, or how she always gets treated badly. Your instinct? Jump in, offer advice. Be the hero who finally gets her and makes it all better. But here's the truth. You're not her therapist. And trying to be one, it's the fastest way to drain your energy and destroy attraction. Smart men support, but they don't save. They empathize, but they don't absorb. When you try to fix a woman's life, especially early on, you step into the role of caretaker, not partner. And that shift silently kills the polarity that creates attraction. Let's be honest, sometimes it's ego. We want to be the one who solves her problems. Other times it's codependence. We feel validated by being needed. But whatever the reason, the result is the same. You get entangled in emotional chaos that isn't yours to manage. There's a passage in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations that fits here. Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. Why does that matter? Because the Stoic path is about owning your emotional space and letting others own theirs. Helping isn't the same as rescuing. When someone complains or spirals, the Stoic doesn't panic. He observes. He may respond, but he doesn't get pulled into the storm. That's what a grounded man does. Listening without interrupting. Reflecting. That sounds tough. What do you think you'll do? Setting boundaries. I care about you, but I can't be your outlet for everything. Have you talked to someone professionally? This isn't cold, it's clear. It says, I see your pain, but I trust you to handle it. A guy I know started dating a woman who was in a rough spot, financially, emotionally, mentally. He stepped in hard, helped her move, paid her rent once, became her daily emotional check-in. 2 months later, she ghosted him. Not out of cruelty, but because deep down she didn't want a savior. She wanted a partner, and the dynamic had quietly become unbalanced. Ask yourself, in my past relationships, did I take on emotional responsibility that wasn't mine? When someone close to me is spiraling, do I feel obligated to fix it? Or can I offer space and support without losing myself? Because here's the truth, a woman in chaos doesn't need you to rescue her. She needs a man who's calm enough not to get pulled into the storm. And sometimes the most attractive thing you can say is, I believe in you, and I trust you'll find your way. 5, don't shrink your life for her. There's something intoxicating about new love. You meet someone, the connection is electric, and naturally you want to spend more time together. But over time, something subtle begins to shift. You start skipping gym sessions, putting off your goals, canceling plans with friends, maybe even adjusting your work just to be more available. At first, it feels like closeness, but what it really is contraction. Your world starts to shrink. And here's the paradox. The more you orbit around her, the less gravitational pull you have. Smart men don't let relationships replace purpose. They complement it. Your mission, whether that's your business, your art, your fitness, your inner growth, isn't a hobby, it's your core. It's the spine of your identity. When you start trading in your purpose for proximity, you're silently telling her, you are more important than my values. And while that might sound romantic, it's not. It's unstable, because nothing crushes attraction faster than a man who abandons himself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What does that mean for relationships? It means that if you feel off balance, if you're drained, if you're starting to feel like a background character in your own story, that's not her fault. That's your estimation of her role in your life. And that can be reset by recentering on your mission. A man I coached was building a startup. He met someone amazing, smart, funny, magnetic. Within weeks, his sleep was off. He was skipping workouts. His morning journaling routine, gone. Why? Because every free moment was going to her. When she left 6 weeks later, he wasn't just heartbroken, he was lost. He said, "I don't even recognize who I was in those weeks. I let go of everything that made me, me." Sound familiar? Keep your routines. Protect your time. Integrate her into your life, but don't let her become your life. Let her see you in motion, building something, because that's the man she was attracted to in the first place. Ask yourself, have I sacrificed my habits or goals to spend time with someone? Have I postponed progress in the name of love? What would it look like to prioritize my mission and make space for connection without shrinking who I am? You don't need to choose between love and purpose, but if you ever feel like you are, always choose purpose first. Because when your mission is alive, your presence becomes magnetic. And when you lead with purpose, she doesn't just admire you, she respects you. 6, don't compete for her attention. You're out at a party, she's laughing with another guy. You feel that sharp twinge in your chest, that sting of insecurity. Your mind starts spinning, do I need to do something? Should I be funnier, louder? Am I losing her attention? This is the exact moment where smart men make a very different choice. They don't compete because they understand that trying to outperform someone for attention isn't attractive. It's reactive. When you compete for her focus, what you're really saying is, I believe I'm not enough as I am, so I need to fight to be seen. And that mindset doesn't just diminish your presence, it erodes the respect she feels for you. Here's the twist. She's not testing to see who's the funniest or loudest. She's watching how grounded you are when you're not the center of her attention. A man who can sit in that discomfort without flinching, without posturing, without scrambling, is a man who radiates quiet strength. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That doesn't mean accept disrespect. It means stop obsessing over how others perceive you, especially in public settings. Because the more centered you are, the less validation you need. Stoic men lead with presence, not performance. There's an account from his reign where Marcus was challenged in public by a senator trying to embarrass him. Instead of lashing out or trying to prove dominance, Marcus stayed calm. He responded briefly, then returned to his duties. He didn't perform. He didn't escalate. He let his composure speak. That's what people remember. So the next time you feel like her attention is drifting, don't interrupt her. Don't make louder jokes. Don't sulk or act aloof. Instead, smile subtly. Stay engaged in your own rhythm. Let her notice you're calm and return to you willingly, because nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't flinch. Ask yourself, have I ever competed for someone's attention and felt worse after? What would it look like to simply trust my own presence, even in silence? Remember, attention isn't a prize to be won. It's a signal. And when you stop chasing it, it often comes back on its own. When you're unmoved, grounded, and sure of who you are, she notices, even when she's looking elsewhere. And that is unforgettable. 7, never make her the source of your happiness. Let's get brutally honest for a second. If she's the reason you're smiling today, she might also be the reason you're broken tomorrow. That's not cynicism, it's just reality. Too many men build their emotional world around a woman. They make her the sun, and when she leaves, they go dark. Smart men don't do that. They create their own light. At first, it feels romantic. You complete me. I was lost until I met you. But phrases like that hide a deeper problem, the belief that you are not whole on your own. When your happiness depends on her mood, her replies, or her affection, you've given her the remote control to your emotional state. That's not love. That's emotional outsourcing. The Stoics believe that happiness comes from living in alignment with nature and reason, not from external outcomes. Seneca wrote, "A wise man is content with himself." It doesn't mean he isolates. It means he doesn't require someone else to feel fulfilled. He welcomes connection, but doesn't depend on it. Think of your emotional state like a fire. Do you want that fire to depend on someone else lighting the match every day? Or do you want to wake up and know it's already burning inside you? There's a guy I worked with who said, "I don't feel like myself unless she texts me good morning." That's a warning sign. Because guess what happens when she doesn't text? Anxiety, overthinking, mood swings. He was letting her actions determine his identity. But when he began building morning routines, working out, meditating, journaling, his happiness stopped and depending on her consistency. She noticed. She came closer. Why? Because wholeness attracts. Neediness repels. So here's what this means for you. Create a life that brings you joy before anyone enters it. Cultivate peace from within. Make her a beautiful addition, not your emotional foundation. Because when your soul is calm, your world steady, your path clear, she doesn't complete you. She complements you. Ask yourself, if she left tomorrow, would I still feel like me? Am I emotionally self-sufficient or secretly outsourcing my peace? Your mission isn't to become cold, it's to become whole. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "She makes me happy," pause and ask, what's something I can do today to make myself happy, regardless of anyone else? Because the man who doesn't need her to smile is the one she'll chase to keep. 8. Don't react emotionally to her tests. She gets quiet, cold, maybe even sarcastic. Maybe she teases your ambitions or mentions an ex just a little too often. What's your instinct? For most men, it's to react, defend, argue, question themselves. But smart men, they don't take the bait, not because they're passive, but because they're rooted. Women, consciously or not, sometimes test. They want to know, is this guy solid? Can he hold his ground when I push emotionally? It's not about cruelty, it's about safety. She wants to feel your stability. And when you lose your cool, when you spiral emotionally, she feels it. And something inside her says, nope, not safe here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." That's the essence of how to pass these moments. You decide what moves you. You decide what's worth reacting to. You don't let sarcasm shake you. You don't let silence spiral you. You remain composed. A friend told me once, she said I wasn't ambitious enough compared to her ex. I started explaining myself for 20 minutes. By the end, I wasn't even sure who I was proving something to. Sound familiar? That moment wasn't about the ex, it was about him. And in trying to prove himself, he failed the real test. Can you stay rooted even when questioned? If she pulls back, give space. If she jokes about your goals, smile. That's okay, I'm building them anyway. If she tries to get a rise out of you, don't take the bait. Breathe, stay grounded. You don't need to react to everything, you just need to observe. and choose how you want to respond with intention, not impulse. Ask yourself, do I tend to overreact when I feel emotionally challenged? How often do I confuse emotional control with weakness? You're not here to win every battle. You're here to stand in your center, no matter what winds blow around you. And trust me, when she realizes you're not shaken by her storms, she'll lean into your calm. Because women don't want perfection. They want presence, strength, steadiness. Be that. In the test, you'll pass it without even trying. 9. Never apologize for your standards. You want loyalty. You want peace. You want depth, not chaos. That doesn't make you demanding, that makes you clear. But the world won't always agree, and sometimes neither will she. You'll hear things like, "You're too picky. You're insecure if you need that." Real men accept women as they are. Here's the truth. Smart men don't apologize for wanting alignment. They don't lower their standards just to avoid being alone. Because the cost of compromising your values is always higher than the cost of walking away. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That includes relationships. You want a calm partnership? Then don't settle for drama. You want someone who respects you? Then stop entertaining disrespect. It starts with knowing what you stand for, and standing for it even when it's inconvenient. Let's say she's beautiful, magnetic, exciting, but also inconsistent, disrespectful, or dismissive of your values. You want to make it work. You tell yourself, maybe I'm asking too much, but you're not. You're just finally recognizing the gap between who she is and what you need. And the sooner you honor that difference, the sooner you free yourself. Walking away doesn't always mean slamming doors. Sometimes it's quiet, peaceful, clear. You don't need to make her wrong. You just need to make yourself right with what matters to you. You stop chasing potential and start honoring reality. You stop justifying why peace matters to you. You calmly leave relationships that no longer match your principles. Because your peace, that's sacred. And if she makes you feel like your standards are a burden, that's your sign. Ask yourself, what are the 3 non-negotiable values I hold in relationships? Have I ever bent those to keep someone around? What would it feel like to hold the line gently but firmly from day one? You're not here to be perfect. You're here to be intentional. And when your standards are clear, you don't need to force anything. The right people will rise to meet you, and the rest, let them pass. So here's the final question. Which of these habits have you recognized in yourself? And more importantly, which one are you willing to release today? This isn't about being flawless, it's about being aware. Because awareness leads to clarity, and clarity leads to strength. You don't need to be loud to be powerful, or perfect to be respected. You just need to show up, grounded, clear, and unwilling to abandon yourself. If this message landed with you, take a moment to reflect. Maybe write down your standards, your boundaries, the man you're becoming, not for anyone else, just for you. Because when you lead yourself with intention, the world follows your lead. Until next time, stay grounded, stay clear, and as always, lead with calm.